Yes, that game and Sony PlayStation are among the prizes up for grabs in a new competition here on Sports World, and we'll bring you up to date later in the show. Well, the engines are revving and the 7 cameras are fine-tuning for the big race. It's just 3 weeks away on Mount Panorama, the 1000, and we now cross to Glenn Seton. Glenn, thanks for joining us from our Melbourne studios this morning.
Thank you, David.
In hindsight, it was the race that you should have won last year, but an engine failure some 13 laps or 10 laps from home put paid to that. How devastating has that been to you?
Well, really, it's one that's probably the closest I've ever been to be able to win that race. It's always been my ultimate goal to try and win Bathurst and also an Australian Touring Car Championship. And so far, we've won the championship, but never been able to go that one step further and win Bathurst. We got within 9 laps of the end, and an engine did let go and let us down. But one good thing, I've got age on my side. I'm only 31 at the moment, and I've still got a long way to go in my career. So hopefully between now and then, which is at this stage, I plan to race until I'm 45.
Glenn, there was a suggestion that there was a 20-cent value of a piece or a part that really caused the problems here. Is that true?
Well, it was a $200 part. It was a valve, or 3 valve springs that actually let us down last year. But that's motor racing, really. You've really got to iron out those things. And Bathurst is one of those races that's I suppose it's so hard to win because it's the longest race we race throughout the season of touring cars, and to go up there and have everything right and just hope that you're competitive and also to be the fastest on the day is very difficult. But this year we're going into it with, I suppose, very much confidence. With last weekend at Sandown, we finished second to Craig Lowndes and led the race right up until 3 laps to go, and Craig just got me right near the end. So at this stage, we're going to Bathurst very confident.
Well, there has always been some tremendous battles between the Holden and the Fords, but last year there was a rather controversial issue involving John Bowe and Dick Johnson. Now, we'd like to get your side of the story in relation to that mid-race collision.
Well, it's one of those things. At the time here, John's tyres were going away and he slipped sideways a bit and lost his momentum, and I was going up the inside at the time, and we just collected, and that's really what happened. So it's one of those things that I suppose you look at it and you hope it never happens again, but at this stage, as how it happened is really one of those things.
Glenn, you've streamlined your assault this year, the single car, the owner-driver, and what are the disadvantages and the advantages of that assault?
Well, I suppose the big advantages are that you can scale back the team. It's much easier to prepare one car and get it there to the races. I suppose the negative side of it, you don't have the development throughout the year with the 2 cars to be able to try things with the second car or even try things with my car, and to learn things throughout the year. So that is probably the negatives, but I think the positives outweigh the negatives. So like I say, this year it's been a hard year. At the end of last year, the sponsorship of cigarette tobaccos was banned last year, so I really had to go out there and find a new sponsorship, which Ford Credit and Bridgestone Tyre Centres came along and helped me out. So it's been a great year so far to be able to rebuild and be in this position so close to Bathurst and be in a position to be able to win the race.
Well, you may not like this being described as a veteran of touring car racing, but we have some shots here from the younger days of Glenn Seton. I think even now you would have to agree, Glenn, you are in the veteran stage. Well,
I suppose so. I've been around quite a few years now, and this was my early days when I suppose I was a bit crazy in the wet at Bathurst in '87 across the top of the mountain, and the car got a bit sideways a few times, but I feel I was fairly well in control, and at the time those sort of things don't worry you, the dangers and things like that. So no, I'd probably do it the same way today, even though it's 9 years on.
Well, on that basis, you must admire the form and the skills and the courage of the young fella, the young gun, Craig Lowndes. He's been an absolutely devastating form in 1996.
Yeah, he's done a sensational job this year, and it's a shame to see him go overseas next year, and I hope him the best overseas, because we do need someone to come through and hopefully make Formula 1. But,
so how do you stop him at Bathurst?
Well, that's going to be difficult at this stage. I think definitely they are the team to beat at this stage, the Holden race team. They've done such a sensational job throughout this year, and to go into Bathurst, I think they're definitely, no doubt, favourites. But I think we can go up there and race with them like we showed at Sandown last weekend, and hopefully that'll be competitive enough to try and win that race.
Well, during the Shell Touring Car Championship this year, you were dogged by a few vital hiccups at very crucial stages of the race, but overall you must have been very happy with your form.
Absolutely, because come Christmas just before Christmas last year, I didn't even know if I'd be racing this year until Ford Credit came along. So I'm very grateful just to be there this year and be a part of it, because like I say, it was tough times at the end of the cigarette sponsorship to regain the team back together. And at this stage, to finish third in the championship, I'm very happy with, and also with the performances at Sandown and Bathurst coming up with my co-driver who drove with me last year, David Parsons, done a sensational job at Sandown. At this stage, I feel very confident we're going to be very competitive and hopefully make up for last year.
Yeah, well, you're taking David with you to Bathurst for the 5th time, but you've split up with your father in relation to the engine capability. What's going to be under the bonnet this year? What can you tell us about the new V8?
Well, this year, John Sydney Racing actually looks after our engines, and at this stage, just looking on Sandown, I'm very happy and very confident with the power it's putting out at this stage. I think we're equal, if not one of the best out there in straight line speed, so that's looking good going into Bathurst, and also reliability seems to be there. So the big long pulls up the hill at Mountain Straight and also down Conrod Straight is very important to have the speed, so I think this year we'll have the speed.
Well, Glenn, I know that people say you should learn from experience. Last year was a bitter pill to swallow, but I'm sure there's a lot of Glenn Seton fans out there that are saying have a real big go at it this year, and we wish you all the very best.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. And I think just looking back on last year, I suppose it's really built me stronger, and hopefully, like I say, we can go up there and be very competitive and go that one step further this year, and 9 laps, just that little bit further, which is 9 laps more, and take out the victory.
Okay, Glenn Seton joining us from the Melbourne studios, and the big race just 3 weeks away, and the live and exclusive coverage here on the 7 Network. We'll take a break and be back with more in just a minute.
Where the Holden and Ford's growling V8s take on the mountain. So, clear the calendar and light up the Barbie for 2 days of spectacular motor racing entertainment. Live from Mount Panorama, October 5 and 6. Still to